If it's in StarCraft, Destiny would annihilate me, so that's not even close. So thanks guys again for joining me. This is the Cats Pajamas and Destiny, bringing you guys the SC Reddit Open Finals here. Domorin calling GLHF and Hey not saying anything at this point. Hey maybe a little bit rattled, a little bit off his game. Hey,
Yeah, he didn't say anything last game either. I think these and I think he did the first and second, so these losses might be starting to annoy him. Like I said, it's got to be frustrating. I feel like he's a very very solid player, but he's just responding so poorly to this early aggression.
Yeah, he's made very consistently good decisions through the entire tournament. In fact, through some of the games that I had seen, he was actually winning pretty convincingly a lot of the matches, finding ways to macro himself back into games, but just not doing that well in the finals here. So Hay is spawning as our Orange Terran here at the 3 o'clock position on Metalopolis. His opponent is here at the 9 o'clock position, Domorin. Domorin is our Red Terran. And I think Domorin has been switching colors quite a bit. So just trying to throw me off. Nice job. Nice mannered switching of colors to Domorin. Again, guys, I want to throw out a little bit of a shout out to our organizers, starcraft.reddit.com and screddit.com. Feel free to check out their sponsors at zenmagnets.com and newgamesninja.com. Of course, if you guys want VODs after the tournament, see youtube.com/users/catspajamas SC2. So both pairs throwing down their barracks. At this point, we are cross positions here on Metalopolis. It, of course, means that we do have a very long walk distance in between both bases and long fly distance as well.
Looks
So,
like Hay once again is going for the. It looks like the same tried. Well, I don't want to say tried and true, but he's very persistent with his fast expansion play.
persistent is perhaps a better term than tried and true, yes.
Yeah.
But he is going to go ahead and fast expand. Actually, the only player who's pulled off a fast expand and made it work in this series so far is Domorin, who is opting for a more standard strategy. He has his gas up, he's bringing in his orbital command, everything all standard at this point. But, hey, looks like he's saving up quite a bit of minerals at this point, so he is going to go for that 1-Rax fast expand. To be perfectly honest, I would expect Domorin to pull off the same timing attack as soon as he realizes that this is happening with that siege tank and about 9 to 10 Marines.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't understand. I guess Hay might be a little bit off his rocker and doesn't want to vary his play up too much, but at this point, I mean, he showed him the same build 3 times, and Domorin has showed him that he could beat this same build 3 times, so there has to be... Hay's got to try to do something different at this point. I mean, this map again. I mean, there's still so much open area in your base where you can drop. You've got this whole cliff where you can shuttle up and down. That's really far away from the natural expansion, so you can't defend it all with just one line. I think that a lot of these maps are really kind of playing into Domorin's really aggressive play.
Yeah, absolutely, especially because this natural, even if Hay was sitting here after he fast expands, gets all of his units up and puts them purely at the natural to defend, Domorin would still be able to walk in and basically do a lot of damage off of one base. Actually, Domorin is fast expanding, so okay, so he is a little bit behind on that expansion, back by about 25 seconds at this point, but of course he will have some gas ready for some good a good set of high-tech units, so we are going to have pretty similar builds. But Domorin looks like he wants to play the macro game. Let's see if he can out macro the macro master. Hey, sending out one Reaper now down around the bottom right hand corner of the map to try and do some damage.
Yeah, this looks like it could be gearing up to be a pretty interesting game. We haven't really seen any macro play from Domorin yet, or at least no macro openings.
And, looks like Hay was ready for that Reaper, though, and the Reaper does die, unfortunately. Let's take a look at exactly what he saw, though. He did see the 3 racks coming up and the fast expand, so he knows exactly what his opponent is doing. And let's take a look at Hay's vision as well. He has not seen the fast expand yet and has not sent out another scout after his first one died. So this could be interesting as... Well, no, this really isn't going to play in the favor of any one opponent. But Hay looks like he is going to move out with this group of Marines, which I'm a little surprised at.
He needs to be careful. I'm not entirely sure what his rationale could be unless he's just looking to peek at these Zelnaga towers. Seeing how aggressive Domorin has been all game, I mean, I don't know. I would be worried to walk out with so few Marines, especially considering if you check his vision, he hasn't... I don't think he knows that his opponent is even fast expanding. It looks just like another typical Domorin opening.
Yeah, and so Hay was, I guess he's trying to combat aggression with aggression, but if he figures that Domorin is going after an aggressive build, sending out units to meet what would have been a vastly superior force had Domorin been one basing, would have been just absolute foolishness. He is now going ahead and moving up with an SEV to do the spotting for him. That is the more reasonable approach at this point. Domorin now producing off of 4 racks, so it looks like he wants to go for a very, very Marine heavy build, going for that Mass Marines one more time. And Hay is sitting back with all of his Marines at his base, starting to try to push out one more time. I don't know. This SEV does, in fact, see... Oh, it does get taken down, but it does not quite see the expansion per se, but he saw all those units queued out there, so he knows Domorin is going after that expansion. Hay actually just now dropping down his own expansion into his base. Unit stab shows us Domorin is actually ahead in workers. So even though Hay went ahead and expanded first, Domorin has the economic advantage.
I think that this is actually really funny by Domorin, because I know Hay's got to be just sitting waiting at any second for that early aggressive push that he doesn't know is coming. Although, I mean, when he scouted the front of his base and saw those Marines line up there, I guess he would assume that Domorin expanded. But I'm sure Hay's a little bit thrown off now because he was expecting that early aggressive play.
And his army's not much larger than his opponents. Actually, both players were supply blocked there for a little while. But I'm going to be curious because it looks like he was building a pretty defensive army. He was bringing up siege tanks with early siege mode. He was trying to defend that aggression. He had enough resources to drop down a couple of bunkers as well, but no aggression ever came. So we'll see if he's able to effectively transition into an aggressive sort of build. He is loading up a drop at this point, sending that across the 6 o'clock position at the moment. And Domorin is actually expanding again.
Down a third. Wow.
This is aggressive to say the least. He only has 39 SCVs up right now, so those expansions won't be totally saturated for a while. But yeah, very, very aggressive expanding coming out of Domorin, feeling very good, trying some things possibly once he's up by 3 games in this set.
This is going to be interesting if Hay can do some damage here. It looks like Domorin is moving out for another kind of push, although he can't really do much with these siege tanks positioned the way they are.
No, that's actually really, really good positioning of the siege tanks, and as soon as we say something, he decides to move them.
Unsiege them and walk away. Oh, man. If this Marine catches his army leaving his base and Domorin stims and runs into his expansion, we could see a base trade going on here. There are no siege tanks. The siege tank coming out is not even 1/4 of the way done. This is going to be disastrous to his expansion here. He's going to lose so much.
And Hay is now dropping inside of the main of his opponent. He's moving up with a good number of Marines. The Marines are stimming and going to take out quite a few SCVs. Oh my god, a ton of SCVs falling, but at the same time, Domorin did run into his opponent's base. He's taking out the bio army here. He needs to focus fire down those siege tanks. No, instead opting to move out of the siege line, absorb some bad hits there. So all the mining is done at Hay's Natural, and he's going to try and completely deny it. That's only down to 200 health, 100 health, and it does go down. But Hay did a huge amount of harassment in Domorin's base to begin with. Unit stab shows us Domorin is down by 8 workers at this point, but of course he is up 2 expansions. So
yeah, this is very, very strange to be down in workers and have your opponent out expoed by 3 times.
So we do have 2 command centers being built right now for Hay. He's trying to get himself back into that. One of those command centers was actually started when that attack was incoming. It really didn't have its production disrupted. It absorbed a couple of shots, but not much. Planetary Fortress is coming down for Domorin at the top left-hand corner. And he is doing a nice job of catching up in SCVs. He's only down by 5, and he has 2 mules in play, so his economy will look a little bit better than his opponents. So
yeah, I mean, definitely, I think Domorin is in a really strong position here. Hay probably, I don't even think would even guess that Domorin would be going for a third at this point. I remember watching Domorin's game on Xel'Naga. It was just the opposite. He seemed to be pushing and pushing and pushing and never wanting to expand. And in this game, it seems like he almost expanded maybe a little bit earlier than he should have. Almost like a completely different player at this point.
Yeah, he does, but you know, this could be effective in terms of playing mind games with Hay. Hay is currently, you know, he's a little bit rattled. He's not been throwing out the GLHS before the game. He's, you know, he threw out a G rather than a GG to end the last one, so he's playing. He's a little bit tilted right now, and Hay is going to drop down his next expansion over at the bottom right-hand corner. So maybe this look is just what Domorin needs to prevent Hay from getting back into this. I don't know. I mean, Hay is going ahead and moving up now with a pretty considerable force. His force is larger than his opponent's at this point. But Domorin looks like, oh, he does see this with the Xel'Naga Tower, so he's immediately going to move to his planetary fortress. Hay doing a sensible thing and retreating back to his base. And it appears as though Hay is actually putting up yet another command center as well. So this could be the ridiculous Terran expand wars we have going on here. Marines are not really upgraded for Domorin quite yet. He is on 0-1 upgrades. His opponent is on 0-0, so Domorin actually does have the advantage. 0-1 upgrade's about to finish for Hay, whereas Armor is about to finish for Domorin, so he will have a bio advantage. Hay sieging up here at his base. Looks like he wants to transfer his command center over to that gold. So Domorin is getting ready with all of his SCVs. Looks like he is intending to push out. Hay's actually unsieging his tanks and making his way up.
If he can get his way to be positioned right below this cliff into Hay's main, he could do a lot of elevatoring with these Marines back and forth. And once again, Hay's production would be greatly threatened. And it looks like he's planning on doing exactly that.
Yeah, he is moving in right now. Hay did see a little bit of this coming because of the Zelnaga Tower, but Domorin is moving up very effectively, snipes the Viking that was flying around. Hay is here with a couple of units, but this barracks that's there at the front is immediately going to fall. Hay moving up with the rest of his units, but Domorin taking positioning advantage right now with his Marines. He's going to have to watch out for these siege tanks that are now sieging up outside of Hay's base. We are going to have an engagement of Marines go on as well. Hay and Domorin both stim up. Domorin staying in this a little bit longer than perhaps he should have because of that advantage in upgrades. And Domorin
not to mention the medevacs there as well.
Yes, and Domorin is going ahead and pushing and denying a lot of these production facilities again, though. Hay now down to 4 barracks and a factory and a starport, and he's about ready to lose 2 more barracks.
Looks like Hay's going to drop right on top of this army here to take it out and move his siege tanks up at the same time.
This is actually going to be pretty effective, too, because those siege tanks will not be able to fire on anything else. Oh my god, one of those medevacs may go down completely full. It does! Hay actually loses 8 of the 16 Marines he brought in there. He still is going to be able to clean up this attack, yes, but he suffered way more losses than he should have. Domorin now has a commanding lead in terms of army. Well, actually, it seems like there's a higher tech army out for Hay at the moment. We're looking at 7 tanks, 4 medevacs, and 10 Marines for Hay versus 2 medevacs, 3 tanks, and 38 Marines. Now 40 Marines for Domorin. So he is switching over to a very, very aggressive mass Marine build at this point.
Looks like Hay at this point, if he can get this gold running, and it looks like Domorin realizes what's going on too. So Domorin is going to have to do some kind of harassment or some kind of aggression. And it looks like, I'm thinking he's planning on doing just that, because he seems content to go and take another non-gold base. I'm kind of wondering if he's planning on harassing more bases, or if he just doesn't realize that Hay has that southeastern base.
Yeah, well, actually, let's take a look at his vision. No, he has no inclination to that. Probably only thinks that his opponent is going for the gold. If I was playing the game, I wouldn't have expected Hay to triple expand whenever he lost that command center. So Domorin is going ahead and transferring over some SCVs at this point. More units being brought in for Hay. Scan goes down to the planetary fortress. Even with the gold up, Hay is... Okay, I guess Hay is slightly mining at an advantage right now. He's only down by 5 workers at this point, and I believe he wants to move up. But as he does so, Domorin is actually moving out with a huge force of his own. He's going to catch these tanks unsieged. The tanks are now attempting to siege as quickly as possible, but so many tanks are falling to the Marine fire. Not enough damage being done. Hay losing all of his army right there.
That was a horrible loss for Hay. If this gold goes down, he's going to be in a really bad position again. Although Domorin's got to be careful here not to get sucked into this planetary fortress. He really needs to siege these tanks outside, which he did. He needs to get those Marines out of that planetary fortress. There he goes.
Yeah, the planetary fortress already has 15 kills right now. The tanks finally are outranging the planetary fortress and the remaining tanks for Hay. Hay hasn't even started repairing the planetary fortress. Now, there he is. Hay's going to move in with a couple more siege tanks here around the side. But Domorin looks to be in a very strong position, stemming some Marines down here to the bottom right-hand expansion as well. But he'll be greeted by yet another planetary fortress. So a lot of damage being done with these tanks onto the planetary fortress, forcing Hay to cease his mining for such a long period of time. Planetary Fortress does take down a couple of those units. Marines now moving around the back of the bottom right-hand corner expansion and picking off a number of SCVs at this point. But Domorin looks like he's ready to flank this Planetary Fortress. Hay does take out a couple of those medevacs right there.
That was another big micro mistake. When you're attacking into a planetary fortress, one of the most frustrating things about it isn't the fact that it does so much damage or has so much HP, but the fact that it absorbs all the fire from your aggressive units. So smaller units like those Marines were able to clear up those tanks because the tanks were too busy firing on the planetary fortress. A little bit of miscontrol by Domorin.
Yeah, Domorin is actually losing control of Army as well. Now, he is up by about 30, or I'm sorry, 24 workers at this point, so he does have a pretty significant economic advantage. He's floating yet another command center over to the 12 o'clock position, so he's going to be on 5 bases here very quickly. Domorin is keeping up some spotting units. Don't know why they're not at the Zelnaga Tower. There they go. I was wondering about that. And Hay is attempting to start remining over at his gold expansion. And he is actually ahead in terms of army at this point. So Domorin really needs to drop down a couple more unit-producing structures in the near future. Domorin is going.
I don't know. I'm kind of wondering what these guys are thinking in terms of who's ahead. The only thing that's worse in StarCraft 2 about being behind is being behind and thinking you're ahead, or not realizing how behind you are. Although Domorin was able to sneak down into Hayes' base and see that he does have that base running down there, he was able to delay mining down there for a little bit. So he's got a little bit better of kind of a mental picture of why Hayes been able to produce so many units.
Bingo, that's exactly right. And, oh my god, I was going to comment on that, but Domorin is moving out here. He is being shot by the siege tanks that are up there at the Zelnaga Tower. Now, of course, that vision at the Zelnaga Tower is perfect, and no amount of air control is going to take that away. Oh my god! Domorin is actually going to attack directly into this prepared position. Hay moving up some more units right now, but those siege tanks have done some good damage. Another siege tank going down there for Hay. And Domorin has once again established control of the army here at this juncture. Now, he is up by 20 workers overall.
I don't even know what to say. I guess only Terran could attack so fearlessly into siege tanks. I get scared when I watch all of those Marines just walk. I mean, he had that tower pretty secure, but the tanks were absorbing the shots, and the Marines were coming in and dealing the damage necessary to get rid of it.
Yeah, these Marines now look like they're just going to move in and try and deny that planetary fortress. Actually, another command center is up. It is being target fired. Oh, Hay actually let it complete. And is he going to be able to run away with it? It'll be close, but no. So Domorin is actually running in now. He does have his tanks ready to fire upon the planetary fortress. Planetary fortress absorbing quite a few shots. I don't know why he's not going after the siege tank. The siege tank that is doing so much damage to Domorin's own. He already has 9 kills with that.
Once
siege
again,
tank.
just letting that planetary fortress soak up all that fire. It's just it's a miscontrol by Domorin on his part.
But Domorin is doing a nice thing at sieging up at the Zelnaga Tower as well. Trying to get vision. I don't know why he's using vision with that medevac, but it looks like he's going to aggressively move in and try and deny the economy of this planetary fortress down there at the bottom right. A little bit of an engagement going here at the Zelnaga Tower, and Domorin is actually doing a great bit of damage with his siege tanks that are currently up. Domorin is going to move in right now and try and take out this planetary fortress again. So Domorin does have control of 2 of these planetary fortresses at the moment, but
Hayes getting hammered on all sides here by tanks and Marines, and he doesn't have as many SCVs present this time. I don't know if he can repair it fast enough, unless Domorin lets all of his tank fire get sucked into the planetary fortress again.
He is. He's done it time after time after time. All of his tanks are now down. He's way down in terms of army. He has 4 tanks to his opponent's 11. These planetary fortresses have been beasts. There's one with 24 kills over at the gold. There's one with 5 kills over at the bottom right-hand corner, which is actually burning to the ground, not being repaired, but a bunch of SCVs are just kind of sitting around and looking at it. So we have another command center coming up for Domorin here, and next to his natural, that's going to go down to the gold because that's the only logical place left for it to be. Hay is going to drop down another expansion down here to the 6 o'clock position. But he is behind by 19 SCVs at this point, although 93 SCVs may be a little bit of overkill. So Domorin is floating quite a bit of resources, but he's geared up for a huge drop now. 5 medevacs getting ready to drop into his opponent's base, while Hay actually counter-dropped into the 12 o'clock expansion. So Domorin's going to need to drop all these units. Let's see if he can take down any of those medevacs. He takes down 1, and he almost gets a second, so he denied a few units there. We'll see how Hay decides to respond to this. He is moving back right now, and I don't know if Domorin will go forward with this drop. Oh, he is going to. So he's moving forward right now, going to drop down here behind this gas vents there, take out that supply depot, and try and move into the base as aggressively as he can. But apparently that's not aggressively enough. Hardly any of those Marines went down for Hay, and he did fend off that harassment quite well. So both players are almost max. Domorin is down in army size at the moment. And Hay is actually mining at a greater rate now because he actually does have a fully saturated gold expansion now, finally, after about 20 minutes.
Domorin is he's just being so wasteful in some areas. Like, he's had so many commanding positions, and he's just kind of, instead, he just needs to be a little bit more patient and you just need to be a little bit more patient and a little bit more steadfast with these pushes.
Yeah, he is doing one nice thing, however, in going ahead and bringing up a bunch of upgrades right now with the excess minerals that he has. But oh my god, these siege tanks
Siege
are
is going to
do
be
so
just
much
devastating.
damage. Oh, so many units falling right there. But oh my god, those siege tanks were actually, I don't know what they were attacking. It seemed like they were attacking like individual units there off to the right, rather than the main force coming at main force coming there for Domorin. And Domorin actually wins that engagement really, really solidly. An engagement that I thought he was going to get destroyed in yet again. So Domorin is moving out one more time. He's up by about 45 food overall. He has a bunch of upgrades coming. Terran vehicle weapons level 3, plating level 1, and then 2 upgrades for the ground. Oh, but a bit of miscontrol there. And Domorin does move directly into a big old siege line. But now he is going to have vision with these 3 tanks. Would expect him to do quite a bit of damage here. He's going to take out the tanks for Hay. Hey, I'm not sure why he has a couple of tanks in position or within range of Domorin's units. He either needs to commit or back off entirely. And Domorin is actually finally going to attack that planetary fortress. No, he's actually stimming and running down to the bottom, but there's another planetary fortress greeting him, ready for him one more time. Domorin going to drop onto the high ground here, getting out of the way of that planetary fortress. Hay drops down and takes out the 2 siege tanks that are sitting at the eastern, Zelnaga Tower. And he is retreating for the meantime, not doing any mining at his gold. While Domorin does have up a number of siege tanks, and he is denying the expansions at the 6 o'clock position for Hay, that planetary fortress about to fall. Hay is going to re-attack at this point, moving some SCVs forward to absorb some of the damage. And Hay is
Domorin needs to watch these Marines, or they're all just going to get sucked.
Yeah, they did all just get sucked into the siege tank line. That was a ton of damage done. But
Hay's not even watching that command center in the lower left. Like, he could have floated it away. He just let it die to siege fire.
Yes, he's got a nice, well-defended, he's got a sensor tower up. He's got a missile turret up. He could have held it for a while. Looks like that Domorin is going to elevator drop back into Hay's main.
Domorin is just everywhere this game with this aggression.
Sometimes a little bit foolhardy going straight into planetary fortresses, but most of the time it's been okay. Here's the big counterattack from Hay. Hay absorbing a ton of damage. Oh my god, those siege tanks are doing so much damage. But Hay is able to neutralize the bio forces. He had just enough tanks to be able to hold that off. His army, though, is about half the size of his opponent's.
I would say at this point, it looks like Domorin has the deal sealed. Those lower left bases are completely and totally cut off from Hay expanding there. He's almost got the base in the southeast portion mined out. There's a little bit left at the gold, but Domorin is still mining those 2 bases in the upper right, even if very lightly in the upper right one. He just now took his gold. He's got a fresh gold that hasn't been touched. He's got siege tanks kind of sitting around the map everywhere. Hay's got to be feeling very claustrophobic right now.
And Hay is going to try and take control of the Zelnaga Tower and get some shots onto the middle line of the planetary fortress, which up to now is not actually there. Oh my god, Domorin, what were you thinking? So many bio units just disappear running into the siege line of Hay. Hay now moving up to go ahead and try and deny the planetary fortress.
I missed how many SCVs were just transferred there, but all of them were destroyed too on their way to that gold up there.
Yeah, and now Domorin is actually only on 43 SCVs versus the 59 of his opponent. He still does have the significant advantage in terms of army, but I'm not sure where that army is at right now. It's certainly not defending his bases. There we go. We're going to have the drop. So dropping down or directly on top of Hay's forces, and Hay loses everything. Now he's down to nothing, and Hay does GG. So Domorin does win the SC Reddit Open 4 games to nothing here over his opponent, Hay.